Mike,
Jake,
Mike.
happy April Fool's Day.
Happy April Fool's Day. I don't know. Did you have you pranked anybody today?
No, we thought about
No.
it's early, Jake.
Oh,
I may do you before the end of the call. Who knows?
You might. This is not a call. This is a LinkedIn Live.
Oh.
I covered my daughter's room in marshmallows and her head, so she woke up to marshmallows on her head. She said it smelled like marshmallows in her room.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. Did you want to know the most amazing thing? The most amazing thing?
The marshmallows were not edible. No, what's amazing?
That the golden retriever in her room did not eat the marshmallows.
Because they were not edible.
Right. And then we had this internal company discussion about okay, companies put out April Fool's news releases. Should we do it? But as a security company, I don't know that it's the right thing to do. But
we thought about that, but I'm not sure a security company should engage in shock jokes while the cyber world is caving in. You know what I mean? It could really be taken the wrong way.
Yeah, right. And I think, God, I think that, IT directors, CISOs, folks in the hot seat, you got to have a sense of humor as you go through it. But I'm not sure. I think what we sort of decided was maybe you don't need your cybersecurity provider
yanking your cyber chain.
Being the Joker, right? Mm-hmm. So anyway, hey, this is cool. LinkedIn Live now at the top of your profile has the video going. That's kind of cool.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, that is neat. Hey, way to go, LinkedIn. You did some stuff.
I should check out LinkedIn every once in a while.
Yeah, you shouldn't just have me manage your LinkedIn profile for you. I'm sorry, that's just too funny, Mike. Okay, it's probably not as funny to everybody else, but it's funny to me that you never go on LinkedIn.
No, I do. In fact, I engage in declining a whole bunch of invitations to connect, and it makes me feel really good.
That doesn't surprise me. Hey, speaking of organizations that we work with, and one guy who does have a great sense of humor, John Ricci at the American Hospital Association is just a great guy, and we've gotten to know him really well recently, and as we mentioned before, they've named us their preferred partner for managed detection response, which is really, really cool. Mm-hmm. But I know you're working on some other stuff with them, right?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, that is really good news. The health sector is really in dire need right now. And, I have spoken with John Ricci, who is really a great guy, at the AHA about supplying interns to hospitals from the Pisces Project. If we can get students in their junior year to act as intern analysts, the hospitals get some protection and the students get some experience before graduation. So I want to keep working that. It's different doing it in a hospital setting rather than a government setting because, there could be some liability involved, but we're working it.
Cool. Hey, so getting to the cyber news, your favorite word, the cyber news. Water system. Right? Another one?
Yeah, this just in, as a matter of fact. A man in Kansas has been indicted for hacking a water utility with intent to harm, right? DOJ says he's 22 years old, hacked into the computer network of a rural water district where he performed activities that shut down processes at the facility for cleaning and disinfecting water. And they say he had the intention of harming the customers.
So, people have all sorts of motivations. Employees angry with their former employer, actual terrorism. We don't know what his motivation was, do we?
No. The only thing I can think of, he's got a bone to pick with local government. Somebody did him wrong and this was his way of getting back at it, but this is awful.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
What else?
Yeah. This is a big story this week. Ubiquiti, right? They make switches, routers, interesting things for home networks. They were hacked big, and there is a whistleblower that says it was super bad inside, and said their legal department covered it up. So first of all, how bad is it? The perps got privileged credentials from a LastPass account from an IT employee in Ubiquiti. From there, they got root access to all of their AWS accounts, including all the S3 data buckets, all application logs, databases, user database credentials, and enough information to forge single sign-on cookies. So this was broken by Brian Krebs, who is the guy you call if you have a secret you want to share. You know, if you show up on Brian Krebs' website, you're probably in some kind of trouble. And now Ubiquiti is, and this is where, especially because of, if this is true, the legal department said, we're not going to say anything about this publicly, we're going to downplay this. This is where it starts getting into executive negligence. And so this is going to be one to watch.
Oh, interesting. I mean,
Mhm.
I understand, every piece of Ubiquiti equipment is in question. Um, those are some big things. I was all, Mike, I read the blast. I heard a giant insurance company was also hacked. And last week you were just talking about insurance companies having their policy holder data stolen. And then, and then the bad guys use that to figure out, hey, what's how much should we charge for the ransom?
Yep.
Right? Is that what's happening here?
That's the fear. What we know right now is CNA, this giant insurance company, has been cybered. And for sure, the perps were in the network for plenty of time before they pull this trigger, right? So very likely they lifted all the policy details from the customers before they crushed CNA. But the thing that comes to mind, you have to wonder if disabling the insurance company with ransomware right before trying to extort their customers is going to impede the ability of the insurance company to do the payouts. Right? They may have done things in the wrong order, but we'll see. And along the same lines. The CompuCom, the big MSP, managed service provider, is taking a $20 million hit after ransomware attack. And, again, they're a service provider to a lot of companies. When the network is disabled by ransomware, the actors have been inside for a long time, and now all of their customers need to be worried. So that's another one to watch.
And the SolarWinds hack got the email of DHS leadership. How bad's that?
Well, briefly, I would say the Russians now know everything that was being discussed in DHS. Since DHS is focused domestically, that means any conversations having to do with Russia, right? Because SolarWinds, we all think it's Russia. Any of those conversations were likely about election security and not plans to retaliate or anything like that. But I don't know. The retaliation side of this, the outward-facing agency is the NSA. And the NSA being able to work domestically is a big topic right now. They have the skills. DHS, CISA has the jurisdiction. So there's a little bit, I don't want to say it's a fist fight going on in government, but there's a lot of discussion around this.
Yeah, and by the way, there's one of the other things that came up this week was an Australian network, Nine, taken off the air by ransomware.
Mm-hmm.
And I spent 25 years in TV stations, and I've been worried about this. I've been worried about TV stations, TV networks being hit. When I worked at one TV station, we were taken down for a newscast because somebody plugged a USB into an editing machine that they shouldn't have, and that was very, very, very painful. So, like, anything new on that one?
Well, I don't know if you heard about the timing of it, but yeah, it's Nine in Australia, Nine TV, or just Nine, and this happened right before the broadcast of an expose that they were going to do on Russian President Vladimir Putin's use of poison to murder dissidents and people he doesn't like that are not in Russia. He goes to other countries to do that. That's not the kind of thing I'm sure that he needs in terms of his own PR. But the fact that they got cybered right before that was to air sure makes it look like the Kremlin was involved here. And so I'll caveat this with the fact that there's no firm evidence yet to link these attacks back to the Kremlin, but this is the definition of quacking like a duck, shall we say.
That's a good sentence. Ooh, good turn of phrase, Mr. Hamilton.
Yeah, says the TV guy. Even. Wow.
I mean, nation state activity has really taken up.
Yeah. And just quickly, a number of events around that too. There's a good article on how to spot nation state attackers as opposed to criminals by evaluating their motivation. Okay, that's super straightforward. You know, they want to steal secrets. Unless it's North Korea, you know, they're not going to steal money from you. So that was interesting. But again, I think that's pretty straightforward. The Brookings Institution provided the U.S. military with a warning to plan for private military companies that they're going to encounter, including those that hack for hire. So the DoD should be prepared to counter this, what they call PMC, private military companies. So that can include, you know, information, cybersecurity, space, all kinds of things, right? And it seems that nation states are benefiting from criminals that establish first access into target networks. And I really thought that was the other way around, right? We've talked about this. I thought a country would establish the beachhead during an espionage operation and then turn that access over to the criminals for plausible deniability. It turns out it's going the other way. At least this one story is talking about how it's going the other way. That, you know, that this is a surprising result. But, you know, now thinking about it, you know, these criminals have access, they have tools, you know, governments can probably buy this access in a dark market cheaper than mounting an operation to get that access. And so maybe it's just, you know, an efficiency they've gained. And going back to the NSA. So General Nakasone is saying the quiet part out loud here, that this activity is not going to stop if the NSA is outwardly focused. We can't protect the United States business, private sector, government. Either NSA gets greater authority to look internally and to, you know, perform operations internal to the United States, or DHS and CISA bring their capabilities up. Both those are super slippery slopes, but there's a lot of conversation going on right now, and one of those two things is going to happen.
Well, as we get toward the end of our time here, you know, one of the things we do every week is the kicker, the story at the end of the newscast that makes you smile. You know, that's what it's called in TV. It's the kicker. Here, it's called Mike's failure, because Mike always fails to make us smile at the end. But we give him a chance anyway.
Okay.
Mike, what do you got?
Okay, how about this? Anyone with an iPhone can now make deepfakes. With there's this app, I forget what it's called. Avatarify. I think it's Avatarify. You can take a single photo and with no technical expertise, use this app, and it lets you control the face of another person like a puppet. So you can do this with your phone's selfie camera, and whatever you do with your own face will happen on theirs. Holy cow. You know, and you know, the Russians and the Chinese are starting to use deepfakes in propaganda now. So, okay, I'm sure that's not.
So when I say make me smile, I didn't mean like that.
Okay, all right. Let me.
You could take. I guess you could use it and make me smile. Try again.
Maybe that's good. Okay. So I mentioned Brian Krebs, right? Krebs on security. Brian Krebs had to put out a story titled "No, I did not hack your Microsoft Exchange server." So apparently some group has compromised more than 21,000 Microsoft Exchange server systems worldwide and infected them with malware that names Krebs on Security, the site where Brian Krebs releases stuff, and Brian Krebs by name. Famous security journalist has to disavow hacking 21,000 servers. Okay, best I can do.
That's not bad. That's not bad. The other one I liked more though, because it really did put a smile on my face.
How do you use your?
See right now? Do you see that? I'm not really smiling. This is just a deep fake of me smiling.
No, that's just forced, is what that is.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Shoot. Well, for April Fool's Day, it's, you know. All right. Well, thank you, Mike. Thanks everybody for joining. Have an awesome day. And I want to know what your pranks are. Like whether you prank your kids, your coworkers, whatever. Email them to me. I love pranks. I told you what I did with the marshmallows. Yeah. So I just put my email address in there. Let me know what you did. Jake@ci.security. All right, Mike.
Yep.
Play us out.
Bye, everybody.
All right. Bye.